I went on an all expenses paid trip to India. I made this video and vlog my entire experience in India because I can't believe such an amazing opportunity exists, and I don't think very many people are aware of it. I also struggle to find a lot of information online from persons who have actually been on the program, who went on the trip, and to just know a little bit more about their experience. Going on this trip was one of the most amazing things that ever happened to me in my life. It is a feeling of pure bliss when you get through. I will also share the experiences of others who have been on this trip, so you will totally understand why I'm saying this. It's a day that I have been waiting for a very long time. If you want a story time on that, let me know. And those of you who know my journey know how grateful I am for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Apart from it being an almost free trip, returning to the motherland trumps all. So let's get on to what you're really here for. I applied for the New India program, and that is abbreviated to KIP. So I'm going to tell you what the New India program, KIP, is all about. It's basically a 3-week orientation initiative by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, designed specifically for the diaspora youth. The program basically aims at enhancing the understanding and connection of the Indian origin youth with contemporary India by offering kind of immersive experience in the country's diverse aspects. I vlogged each day of my experience and it's posted on my channel if you want to live vicariously through me or if you want to do some research into the program. I'm going to give you the key details of the program, and I'm basically going to break it down into like the objective, the structure, the financials, some shared experiences, eligibility, and the application process. So firstly, the objective. KIP's primary goal is to foster a deeper connection between the Indian diaspora youth, you and I, and our ancestral home. In terms of the structure, the KIP typically spans about 21 days, although I know some persons' trip may have been longer or shorter, and this excludes the international travel. So you'll set aside about 1 to 2 days for that, depending on where you are coming from. Participants would visit major cities, and this would include Delhi. The majority of your time will be in Delhi. And then I spent 1 day in Agra. I believe everybody goes to Agra to see the Taj Mahal. That is in Uttar Pradesh. And a select partner state in India. This could range from north, south. My partner state was Goa, which was a little bit unexpected, seeing as it's like where all the tourists at in India. Other partner states would have included places like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Rajasthan, and I'll share those experiences with you later on in the video from different participants. The itinerary includes visits to places of historical, cultural, and religious significance. So I'm just gonna give you like a broad overview of the contents of the program and what can be expected. This is very important because most people think this is like a free-for-all vacation when it's really not. It's a structured program. So it would include things like lectures and presentations on India, its politics, economy, history, culture. You would visit institutions of democracy and governance. You'll visit places of historical and cultural importance. You may go to cultural events showcasing like music and dance. Visit institutions of traditional knowledge. So we went to like yoga and Ayurveda institutions, exposure to the Indian media and broadcasting industry, visits to like scientific research institutions. You may even visit a university, college, or any kind of like prestigious institute. Also industrial sites, public or private firms to showcase India's manufacturing and service sector, and a visit to the partner state, which I would have mentioned before. At the partner state, you'd be doing similar things which I just mentioned. So please bear in mind that this is not just a free vacation, having a fun time. A structured program where they provide you with an itinerary of what you would be doing every single day. So there's usually at least 2 to 3 events or activities scheduled per day. It might be a lecture at an institution, and then maybe like a visit to a historical or cultural location, they mix and match it. It's a packed and very high-paced program. They try to cover a lot, and it's a lot of fast movements. You're on a time crunch. If you're looking for a leisurely vacation, this is not for you. Do not apply. Now, it's not all business by the books. During the free periods, like when you return at the hotel at the end of the day, you can do what you please within reason. Example, not leaving the state or not leaving the country. Of course, every trip is different. My trip was absolutely amazing, and each evening we would get to visit the markets via the metro to shop, or some people visited like temples down the road. It wasn't anything big or fantastic, but we did do things outside of the trip. Other trips, which I've heard of, had strict curfews where they had to be back by a certain time at the hotel, which meant either they couldn't leave or they didn't have much time to explore outside of the KIP. And this all depends on your coordinators. But shout out to my amazing coordinators, Ruchi and Dawood, who made the trip such an amazing, enjoyable experience. At the end of the video, I will share a couple itineraries for you to get an idea of the structure of the trip. Of course, no two trips are going to be the same, so this is just an example of an actual trip. Okay, let's talk about financials and logistics. So the program covers the cost of the local hospitality, including accommodation, that's the hotel. So on my trip, we stayed at all 5-star hotels. Everywhere we stayed was amazing. In other trips I heard, like people stayed at like universities, so in like hostels, or it might be a little different in the partner states. So in Delhi and in Agra, I stayed in amazing hotels. The one in Goa was amazing as well, but it was like a little less, so that is to be expected. I mean, they are covering the cost of the accommodation. Food is covered. This includes all 3 meals as well as snacks at different places we visited. So if you go to an institution in the mid-afternoon, they might provide you with some small snacks or a sweet box. Honestly, there's no need for you to spend money on food unless you want to try something very specific, but they do advise against buying street food. They cater to your dietary requirements as well. I'm vegetarian, as well as I requested no spice, and they did say they asked like the different places that we were going to not cook with as much spice since we are foreigners. Everywhere we went, they always considered the vegetarians in the group. We got the breakfast and dinner at the hotel that we were staying at, and lunch was usually provided on the outside when we went out, so either like at an institution or a place that we would have been visiting would provide the lunch for us. Otherwise, we would go to a really nice restaurant where it would usually be buffet style, or we would visit like a fast food restaurant. So I would have visited McDonald's. Internal transport within India is also covered. It was via a coach bus, very comfortable. They have AC, and another thing is they will cover the transport to the partner state. So if the partner state is far away from Delhi, which is where you will be based, they will cover the airfare to the partner state. Flights, airfare. This is one of the few areas where it's not fully covered, but majority is covered. 90% of the international airfare is covered by the Ministry of External Affairs. That includes the return ticket, the return air ticket from the country that you reside in to India is provided. So based on everything that I've talked about, you can check out my vlogs for like my flight experience, hotel reviews, food reviews, and shopping. Now let's get on to what you would need to cover or what you would need to pay for. So 10% of the airfare cost is borne by the participant. So for me, that was around 1,300 TT, and this would be paid directly to the High Commission in your country. You also need to cater for medical and travel insurance. For me, that was about 600 TT. It could be less, it could be more, and it depends on the amount that you're insuring. And if you have an existing insurance, then you should find out if like the medical and travel is already covered, because my insurance actually covered it. I just didn't know, and I went out and got more insurance. So you probably just need to check that. And lastly, money that you would like to spend personally, that's for shopping or any personal needs, you would have to cover that, obviously. Make sure to carry emergency money, because there are unavoidable, unexpected emergencies which do arise, and I know of quite a few. Actually, every single trip that I heard about had some kind of, situation. If you want a story time on this, let me know. I have tons to share. Let's get on to the shared experiences.
So I was part of the 59th Know India program back in January 2020. I must say, traveling to India was definitely an authentic experience whereby I was able to meet persons from different countries. And for a country like India that is rich in culture and a very unique type of culture to experience, this was certainly memorable. We also got to partake in different rituals, festivals, the food, and also visit memorable and historic sites. And this trip was definitely one to always be remembered and to be thankful for. My most memorable experience would have to be visiting the Taj Mahal. It was definitely an amazing, just from seeing it in movies and hearing persons who have visited India talk about it and to experience it there firsthand was definitely amazing. I would have to say one of the other memorable moments would be experiencing India's Republic Day. I was lucky enough to be there in January when that took place. It was definitely a sight to behold. One of my fun experiences in India would have to be taking a ride on the rickshaw. It was definitely something you can't describe, you just have to actually experience it. And as well as trying to speak Hindi in India and relate to the vendors who were selling clothes.
I was on a 60-second KIP trip. It was very much a memorable experience from the fact that one, you're meeting with this cohort of diverse groups from different, let's say, geographical backgrounds all over the world with different cultures and norms and values and different, let's say, interpretations of DC and Indian culture. And then you and this group who are almost like outsiders come back to the motherland, get to go through India and visit different historical and relevant locations, which some of the locations you normally wouldn't be able to visit, and because you're on behalf of the ministry, you get to visit some of very, very interesting places, like even the president's location and stuff like that. My most memorable experience was when I was in Rajasthan. We went up to Jaipur, and Rajasthan is really well known for its castles and is a more desert area. And there's this place called Amber Fort, and for just looking at it from far in the distance, it almost reminds you of seeing like almost like a castle in Europe. And when you go to Europe and you see like these larger than life castles, you doubt you could see something like that in India, and then you see it like in kind of fog, and as you're going closer, and then when you watch from the foothills, you see elephants going up and down. And we unfortunately, because of how they treat elephants, we were not able to go on the elephant and ride the elephant up, which a lot of people did do. We rode safari vans up, but they were like open back, and then you were passing next to these elephants. And yeah, it was just a beautiful sight. Even looking out on the lake outside the castle was amazing on the way up. And then when you actually reach up and you see these elephants are walking around you get to enter the fort. And this is built way back in the 1500s, and it's one of the most beautiful in terms of the architecture, the colors, the way in which they use shapes to create this atmosphere of almost modern times, where it looks modernly beautiful. But you can't imagine this hundreds of years ago, people living in these palaces. So it was pretty beautiful.
All right, when I was in India, I was working out every day, and I was like pretty muscular at the time. And most people in India are a little short, and also don't eat as much protein. So I was looking kind of humongous around people. So every time people see me, they used to be like, "Wow, you're too big." And then when I find out my last name was Hanuman, they used to be like, "Wait, I built like a Hanuman." And like sometimes people in the trip, they would ask me to like pick them up and stuff. So that was a real funny experience.
Hi, my name is Ananda, and I went on the 56th KIP trip. My experience was overall fantastic. I visited places I don't think I would have ever visited on a regular trip, and I got so many different experiences from that, meeting all sorts of different people, and overall it was very exciting and fun. Meeting all these different people, learning about their culture, having different experiences with them, just fun overall. One of the more memorable experiences for me would have probably been going to the partner state Kerala. So we spent like 1/3 of the time in Kerala, and we went to 2 different cities within that state, Kerala is one of the more southernmost states within India. There were a lot of these figures that we saw all over. I actually bought a magnet with it just because I was so fascinated by how this character looked, and we would see it all over on all the posters, kind of everywhere, all over that state. So we were very fascinated by what this character represented, what it meant, why they showcased this all over the country, well, all over the state. And while we were there, one of the villages that we visited hosted a cultural show for us, and in that cultural show we saw a lot of the cultural dances, Bharatnatyam, a lot of other dances that we have here in Trinidad. Very interesting to see where it originated and how much we were able to preserve that cultural aspect and bring it to Trinidad and even teach it here. And we also got to see this character in the shows, and it was quite nice to see where it originated from, why it was such a big hype in Kerala, and all the different types of movements, eye movements. It was just very unique and interesting, and I don't think I ever saw anything like that. So experiences, I have like two. They would like not full stories, but anyways, one was when we went to the market. So we had to travel on our own to go to markets and do our own personal shopping, and it was quite funny to see how the Indians kind of behave and interact. It kind of reminded me of the Indian Expo, but like on steroids. Like it was way more like everybody calling it try to sell you and try to make a sale, and it was crazy how much they were willing to like negotiate and drop your prices, and it was just that was a crazy experience. Another funny experience was when we went to the Taj Mahal. So a group of friends that I made on the trip, we decided, you know what, we're gonna dress up and go all out and look very nice for the Taj Mahal. So we were like, yeah, we're gonna put some cultural wear, we're gonna dress in nice saris and kurtas, and a couple of us actually went shopping to buy clothes for the Taj Mahal. So that was all cool, and a group of us ended up like wearing this color scheme, gold and black kind of thing. And when we went, people thought we were like celebrities, as in the white folks, and like people who I guess weren't Indian. They came up to us and like were asking us for pics with us, like if we were celebrities, and that was something I never experienced before. And it was quite funny because we were confused why they were asking us for pics, but honestly, that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Let's talk about eligibility now. This is probably the most important factor. So the program is open to individuals of Indian origin and between the ages of 21 to 35. It was previously up until 30, but now it's until 35. Now you cannot be 35 years old, you need to be 34 and months. If you are 35, then they'll consider that as over. The preference is given to persons of Indian origin, PIOs, from the Girmatiya countries. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Girmatiya are those Indians who went abroad as indentured laborers. So these countries would include places like Mauritius, Fiji, Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and South Africa. Non-resident Indians, NRIs, are not eligible. Applicants must be a graduate from a recognized university, and they should be proficient in English. Everybody on the trip spoke English. Vast majority spoke Hindi, but at least we had a common language of English. And those who have not previously visited India under any government of India program are given preference. They want people who have never visited India before, ideally. There were about 40 Indian diaspora youths selected from different countries all over the world, and for Trinidad it ranges from about 2 to 10. I know of cases where like 2 persons went, 4 persons went. My trip had 5 persons, and I've seen trips with about 10 persons. And lastly, the application process. So interested individuals can check out the High Commission of India Port of Spain website, as well as the Ministry of External Affairs India's website for more information on the KIP program. The 2 main things would really be the age limit and proving that you are of Indian origin. How do you do that? Everybody may know. I mean, it may be obvious that we are Indian, But to apply, you need to show that your ancestors came from India. You need to prove that you are Indian. So if you want more information on the application process, let me know down below. Just some things to note: if you display poor conduct or you leave the trip before it's completed, you will be required to pay the full airfare. You actually sign a document stating this before you go on the trip. Also, I have applied for this program a couple times before, but I was unsuccessful. Third time's a charm. Even if you don't get through in your first attempt, just keep trying. If you have attended the KIP from Trinidad or any other country, please share your experience in the comments below. I would really love to hear from you all. Also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my adventures, hit that subscribe button. I am going to share the sample itineraries now. And if you look at my India vlogs, I posted the daily itinerary, as well as I think one of my videos had my actual itinerary. But these two that I'm gonna share are from different trips. If you want a video on the entire application process, comment down below and let me know.